Hi, this is Ivan and welcome to the channel. Today I want to discuss with you guys a piece of gear that I just received. I'm very excited about it. And this is a new controller series or one of the controllers put out by Flight Velocity and Flight Sim Wings. These are two companies. I believe they're both located in Florida, but the device itself is a yoke and throttle and designed by Flight Wings. I did purchase this through Flight Velocity. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and show it to you, and we'll just take a look at it. And so here it is. So this is a really pretty cool piece of kit. And what I'm going to do in a little bit, I'm going to get a camera and go through and get much closer on the individual components. But overall, this, as you can tell, is a yoke with Vernier style throttle, mixture and prop. It's got a bunch of other buttons and switches that can be assigned to your flight simulator. I am using it right now with Microsoft Flight Simulator, and so far the integration has been pretty good. It is not automatic. You do have to set it up. And so this thing is huge. It is really big. It's about 30 inches across. It's about 3 3/4 inches off the table. There's rubber feet under here, and it's 15.5 inches back. So it's pretty big. It's also very, very heavy. This device, my goodness, the box on it from, I don't remember if it was UPS or FedEx, said 50 pounds. And I don't think it's 50 pounds, but it feels like it's at least 30 to 40 pounds. It's heavy. It's just sitting on the table. It's not mounted to anything, and it's not going anywhere. I'm pushing and pulling, and it's making my whole table shake because the table it's just not going anywhere. And I don't need to clamp it down or anything like that. It also gives me a lot of real estate back here to put up other things, and I'll show you guys in a bit what I'm going to do with all this space. I'm still in the process of figuring how I'm going to mount some of these things, but I think I've got it figured out. And again, it's just got a lot of cool stuff. It's got the Vernier style, the throttle. You have to push the button to pull the prop settings. It's also got the dial to change settings. Same thing for mixture. You have to dial it. It's got a cool flap setup where basically you can have either four settings of flaps, and as opposed to a click down for increase or decrease, and click up for increase or decrease. I love being able just to go right to the degrees of flaps. This is also an axis, so if you wanted to use this for some type of an axis controller, you could. These other three are also axis, as is the yoke. It's a pretty cool yoke. Basically, I had the Honeycomb Alpha, which I love. It's still a good piece of gear. But I was kind of wanting to try something different, so I started looking at different yokes and things, and everything just seemed either really expensive or just for whatever reason just wasn't doing anything for me. Stumbled across the Flight Velocity page when they're basically going to be carrying a lot of these Flight Sim Wings devices, and there's a ton of stuff coming out. I've actually called Flight Velocity a couple times. They're great at taking calls. I've asked a bunch of questions, and I hope to be getting some more information out to you guys about that. So, in fact, what I'll go ahead and do is I'm going to pull up the page. This is the Flight Velocity page that kind of goes over and describes the different controllers that they have. And what I'll do here is, now I know what you're looking at. It's in red. How could you miss that? And that is a ginormous price, and I did pay that ginormous price. This is not a sponsored video at all. So, but here's the thing. These different components, here we have the throttle and the yoke and the switch panel and all of that. These are all, maybe not the switch panel, but the yoke and the TPM throttles are available separately. And it is my understanding that basically what is different and I'll kind of go to this. What is different is just the enclosure and the chassis. That these different sections can be purchased separately, so you may not want or need all of this, or it just may be like, nope, that's too expensive. I'm in no danger of getting that. But some of the individual components are available, and we'll kind of go back to here. And what I'll do is I'll just kind of real quickly, if I come up here to shop, and we can go to flight controls. So you can see here, this is what I purchased, the Flight Velocity Ace Flight Control Console. You can get it for a little bit cheaper, but without the switch panel. And then you have the Yoke that's available on its own. And then you have two different versions of the Vernier throttle styles. You've got the TPM, and then over here you've basically got the TM. And they both come with flaps. So that's much cheaper and a little more affordable. And I gotta say, so far, my initial impression is, in terms of even just the Vernier style, the throttle's way better than another device I had purchased, last year, which I ended up pulling out of my setup because it was like a toy. It just was not anything that was, I didn't like it. The quality just wasn't there, and it was, much cheaper than that, and it kind of shows. This feels much better. It's got the actual push button. It's functional. It works like the normal Vernier style does, and so this feels very similar to me into a real, like a Cessna, which is what this is obviously trying to model. And so again, what I'll do here in just a bit is I will go through with the camera, and I'll try to get close up to each individual thing and try to kind of go through what this thing can do. So give me just a second and we'll set that up. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll kind of start and work from the left to right. I'll kind of move this out of the way just for a second, and you can kind of see the switch panel. Fairly standard. It's got a magneto switch. That's a real key. It comes out. It's spring-loaded for the start, so that's nice. Then it's got the master switches, your normal lights, fuel pump, pitot heat, and then avionics switches. What's also cool is it's got these circuit breaker switches, which are nice. I don't know what planes have actual functional breakers in them yet, but if not, these can also be configured just as switches. So kind of starting over here, it's got a nice feeling to it, and you can see spring-loaded, so that's nice. And the key actually comes out, so pretty cool. Switches, very robust feeling. I like it. This feels very quality. That, and then it's going to get over here to the avionics, kind of the same thing. And so that would be that. Next would be the Yoke. It's got a timer and clock functionality on it. I don't know how to use that yet. Honestly, I'm probably not going to use that, but it is there. It's got limited switching. It's got a rocker switch, which you would probably use for trim, and then it's got like a push to talk. And then over here, it's got another button. There's no hat switch, so if you use hat for views, then you may be disappointed in this. But otherwise, this is a very solid feeling Yoke. I love the way it feels. By the way, I'm pulling on this pretty hard, and this thing is not going anywhere. So it's got a pretty good amount of travel, and it does feel pretty good. I will say this, it does not appear to be a full 180 degrees. That's not a problem for me, but if it's something that you're concerned about, just be aware. It's got some more switching over here. It's got, this is set up for fuel tank. Of course, you could configure it to control other things too. It's got parking brake, which I love, and fuel shutoff, which at least in Microsoft, I've not really found a good way to configure that switch. But you could use it, you could use any of these for anything. for the most part. It's got trim availability in a form of a wheel, and mixed bag on that so far in my use of it. It's very small increments. It just doesn't feel as good as I would like. I wish there was a way, at least with either within Microsoft, to program the sensitivity of this. Over here, it's got this for gear, but again, could be configured for anything. And then we're back to the TPM Vernier style throttle prop and mixture. This does where you can set the level of tension and all the way to where you can lock it down. And here you can adjust. So there's that, and you can adjust that, adjust that. And then, as I said before, you've got the flaps, and you can make it to where it's just different increments. It may not necessarily match up to 10, 20, and 30, but you can make it do basically whatever you want. This also is an axis. It just has increments in the axis. So, and then as I pointed out, a lot of real estate up here, and so I'm trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to do this, but here in just a second, I'll show you kind of a rough idea of what I'm going to do. Okay, so here is an example of how I may configure this. Actually, I'll probably move this over. I'm going to put a mouse pad here, so I've got space for my mouse. This is where my G1000 screens will go. And my only question to myself is how I'm actually going to mount this to the top of here. And I've got a couple of ideas. I've already taken this chassis enclosure off. There's a good amount of space, except of course right in the middle where the yoke is. So I'd have to be careful, but one possibility would be just to tap a hole through here, and then I could just bolt this down. That would be one way to do it. This is pretty heavy and pretty sturdy, and it's not prone to tipping. So all I might need to do is put some good hook and loop tape on it just to keep it from moving. That might actually be enough. And the other option I'm considering is clamps. Like for example, this style clamp that holds this monitor up could actually slide under here if I could find one big enough by itself, and I could probably clamp this to the unit. Like I said, this thing is robust. It is built like a tank. I did speak to somebody at Flight Velocity, and we kind of went several phone calls, as a matter of fact. I believe that the functionality of the yoke is going to be very similar to the standalone yoke, and I believe that the functionality of the TPM with the flaps is going to be very similar to the standalone version. I can't 100% say that, but when I opened this thing up, it seemed like it would be something that could fit in a smaller, these components could be put in a smaller enclosure, and that is probably what Flight Sim Wings did. I didn't actually call them directly. I spoke to Flight Velocity. So again, I really like this unit. I'm doing a lot more in the smaller planes, and so this just I was really missing this style of throttle, and everything I looked at was either really big, like the Red Wing unit, or it was really expensive, like approaching what I paid for all of this, and I just couldn't justify that. Also note, and I'm going to do another rig run down here pretty soon, I was able to just keep my Honeycomb Bravo exactly where it was. So what I do is within Microsoft and within X-Plane, just the different profiles, like right now, the profile, these don't do anything. So there's no double sending of the same information, which is problematic. If you have this to where it's sending signal it can interfere with the other throttle, especially if you have it all the way down. So I just went through and erased those bindings, set up a special profile, because there's actually a couple things I still use. I still use the annunciator. I still have this set up to be used. I like this better than this. This is just, it seems better, and I still use this landing gear because I like the lights. And so that frees this up for something else. In any case, I'm very happy with this purchase. It was a lot, that is for sure, but I kind of feel like it's worth it, and I'm not getting as much flying time as I'd like in real life, so I'm trying to do something that's more in line with what I would actually utilize in the C-172, and this is the easiest way to do that, in my mind, while still being able to like keep the Bravo and do other like multi-engine aircraft and things like that. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions or want to ask me something, put them in the comments below. Otherwise, you guys have some good flights out there. Meanwhile, as I get more used to this, if there's any big updates I need to do, I'll certainly put that out. And I also will be doing another rig walkthrough once I get everything put together the way I like. I'll do another, what am I up to? Flight Sim version 5 or 6. I may have to stop with the version, but we'll see how it goes. In any case, you guys have a great day.